With that out of the way, let us get us into the lesson of Yareli. Welcome once again to Strength in One's channel. So, what can we talk about when it comes to Yareli? Well, let's go through her abilities. I'm also going to go through the build that I'm using. First things first, as long as you're moving, you're gaining a flat 200% critical chance for your secondary weapons. Sea snares, you trap enemies into bubbles, increasing their damage that they take. Marilena is the board that you can ride if you want to, or you don't have to as long as you have loyal Marilena. You'll see why. Aqua Blaze orbit around you for a bit, dealing damage over time. That also deals out slash damage. Riptide, capture enemies in this little maelstrom, and you can also blow them away in a warding burst. However, if you are too close, it will deal you cold damage. So, here's how she works for those who are casual and don't feel like riding her that much. Bring up Marilena, throw out her bubbles, Aqua Blaze. That's it. And Marilena walks with you, as I said before. Now, I'm going to bring out enemies as well, but you're going to see something very, very noticeable. Marilena's Guardian is taking a lot of damage. But didn't you notice that my HP of Marilena was increasing? Why is that? Depending on the enemy level that you are facing, especially if you're in skill path, the higher level the enemies that you are facing, during that period of invulnerability, the more Marilena's HP will increase. That's what we had saw in the previous segment. I would say just a little bit of showcase where Marilena's HP was beyond higher than what it was supposed to be. So, and as you can see, Marilena, it can be recastable. And also, when it comes to Riptide, and how it works is that Riptide will spawn where your reticle is. So you can spawn here. Oops. You can spawn it from up there. Well, not up there, but as long as it's ground level, then you're fine. Spawn it from there. Spawn it from there. And that's it. So this is the build. 1, 2, 3, 4 for duration, and 1 yellow for the maximum energy at spawn. Arcane Guardian, Arcane Battery, Brief Respite, Preparation, Blind Rage, Prime Flow, Stretch, Equilibrium, Prime Continuity, Adaptation, Lower Marilena, as I mentioned, and Augur Secrets. You have high duration, high strength, and yes, her cooldown for Lower Marilena when it comes to the sea snares that she sends out is a little bit high, but all worth it because you have your own sea snares to throw out. Now, that is for the surfing build. Now, you can also have preparation as well if you want. You can switch preparation out to what do you call it? Prime sure-footed. Everybody's favorite one, right? Why? Because as you could have seen, yeah, really helps her out when it comes to. I'm sorry, Merlina helps her really out when it comes to her making sure she doesn't really get knocked down that much, especially when you're riding her. But not a lot of players really A, know how to ride her, or B, are comfortable with riding her. So I'm going to also show you what it's like to actually use Marilena with the surfing build here of Pistol Amp, Power Drift, Blind Rage, Equilibrium, Transient Fortitude, Augur Message, Surging Blades, Adaptation, Prime Continuity, Prime Flow, Arcane Avenger, and Arcane Velocity. Now, what I'm also going to do is that I'm also going to show you what it's like to also keep enemies in place, especially when you're using said Surging Blades. Oh, and I also mentioned one other thing. I also removed her first ability for Gloom. Gloom sends out this giant radio pulse, which slows enemies down to a crawl, as you can see, with 94% slow. And you're also stealing their HP. That adds to you. And a lot of players kept saying, "Oh, you cannot use your any abilities as long as you are on Berlina." Well, yes, you can. As long as you are using an ability that is technically channeled where it's draining energy per second, then it still counts towards you riding Berlina. So let's also look at one other thing I've added is the Furax Wraith or Furax Wraith Incarnon or the Amalgam Furax body count, which gives us a 45% fire rate for secondary weapons. You can build it however the hell you want. All right. So I'm going to bring out enemies. But before I do, I'll show you actually how this Yareli works. Bloom, Aqua Blades, Marlena. And if you're noticing, I don't know why, it's over 50k in HP, but that's not really the case when you first start out. Enemies are slowed the hell down. Bring him into the Riptide. And as you can see on this top portion of your screen, this is Surging Blades working at its best. All of that is slash damage that is procking up over time. And it doesn't stop until the timer runs out. So again, Surging Blades. And that's it. But I also want to show you this one other thing too. What happens when you are fighting and you're also getting damaged by while you're riding Marlena? Well, we got Marlena again. Pop it back up. So as you can see, her HP is going down, but if you are near enemies, or you're shipping at said enemies, the HP still stays up. Reason being is because the gloom is working on your side. Voila. So that's how I personally use Yareli. If you wish to do the same thing, be my guest. But it all depends on how you want to use it for yourself. And me personally, I prefer using Marlena and riding around with her because this was actually one of the first warframes I learned how to use when I came back a while back. So yes, all up to you. Now I'm going to leave here and I'm going to do a public mission to show you what it's really like to use Yareli, especially in a group. All right, so we are going to go into a public mission, basically anything we can possibly think of, and I'll show you as to what it's like to really use Yareli on a regular basis. The reason why I say public missions is that a lot of times I've seen other players when they do tutorials, they do a lot of these tutorials when they're playing solo. And me personally, I don't like really playing solo that much, so I'd rather show what it's like to work in a group, so that's in case you also help other players, or other title for that matter, so that they actually get an understanding of how Warframe's other mechanics work. And speaking of mechanics, there are a bevy of secondary weapons you can choose from, such as the Icarius Prime, the Atomos Incarnon, the Bronco Prime Incarnon, the Oxomati Prime, the Extiletto Prime, the Coda Catabolus, Epitaph, Dual Coda Toxica, which is one of my favorites, the Haiku Prime, the Coda Tysis, Coda Pox, Compressor Prime, Fierce Incarnon, Akicore Lex Prime, Twin Comac if you're crazy, Sonoid Gamma Core Incarnon, Velux Prime, Vesper 77, Sicaris Prime Incarnon, Xylok Prime Incarnon, the Kuva Nucor, the Kuva Brack, the Kuva Seer. They can go on and on. There's a whole lot of weapons you can personally choose from, but that's all up to you. And in this example, I'm going to use the Prisma Angstrom because it's now one of my favorite secondaries. So what do we have for here to demonstrate? And that is the Omni-Official Survival in Deimos. Alright. Bloom.
There are
Aqua
relic
Blades.
fissures in the area. Use these to crack open a relic.
Marlena. And did I forget to mention that you can hack while you're on top of
The
Marlena?
murmur aims to choke you out. Not today. Preparing a life support capsule.
A fissure. Defend yourself and use reactant to open relics. Collected enemies are dropping reactant. Collect it to open the void relic. The reactant is working on your relic. Find more.
Notice how I'm constantly moving with Yareli. All those red crits all over the place. Shouldn't have gotten that fire rate, should I? As long as you are doing damage, your Marlena
Use it well. They're expensive.
will stay as strong as it possibly can.
Open the relic. Finish your mission and we'll take a look inside.
Move myself around a bit more. And as you can see with the gloom, certain enemies can be slowed down by the Buzzling. And you can pick up items, hopefully. There we go. You can pick up items while you're on your rally. Makes it easier on you. Waiting for the necromancer to spawn.
Looks like you could use a bit of life support.
I like DD on Dexter. Hey, what does that do? Hang on, let's not kill that. Let's not kill that and let's let it spawn. And at the same time, we also have what we might see as yet a possible Hanks. Where is he? He's not by me. Let's take out a Necromech first. Oh no, he's already dead. Oh well. But if you're noticing as to how slowly yet casually I am moving around, while at the same time, you know, I'm not really losing much health from Marlena.
this fish just caught. You keep fighting, and I'll keep finding.
All right,
If
so
you
that's
wish, you may return to the sanctum. But I think you have more fight in you than that.
so. Let's keep going with this tutorial just a little bit because I want to show you what it's like to actually take down an acolyte while riding Merlina. As you can see, nothing really worked when it came to us opening this relic. Okay. Alright, here's another necromant coming. Come on. And as you can see with the gloom, it can't move. So, hypothetically speaking, if you took Yareli with you to what we would usually call a disruption, or even for that matter, this week's Elite Archimedia, you can basically slow down the necromancer from coming, and you won't have to worry about losing your conduits. Cool, huh? The Prisma Angstrom is very useful because all you have to do is make sure that you hit something, and it works. What's this now?
You have collected enough reactants.
Where is my acolyte? Screen should go me dark soon. Come on. There we go. All right, where are you gonna pop up? It's Mania! And Mania is frozen. And pretty much dead. I'm only going to stay until the 10-minute mark because survival can take forever. But as you can see, as I'm moving around, when you hit the slide button, you can move either forward, backward, side to side. You can also, if you point your reticle up in the air, you can basically do a bowler jump. Which can greatly help you. Alright, let me get out of here.
I shall put this one on the pile. We're going to need a bigger sanctum.
Yeah, what are we gonna do when we don't have endo? Oh, now you have to do something better. Okay. Alright. So that concludes my lesson as I try to escape here with my life. Along with 3 other people. Well, yeah. And I hope you learned something with your Yareli Prime. Play her however you want to, but then at the same time, if you ever need to know what you can do in order to keep her alive, you can use this build here. And Teshin couldn't have said it better myself. Have a good day, Tenno.